Hello, everyone. This is Franz from the Franz Experience. Welcome back. If this is your first time viewing, go ahead and subscribe at www.thefranzexperience.life, where we believe you were definitely bumped on course. Back by popular demand, we have with us Walter Staib, 15-time Emmy Award winner. And he is amazing. He's had just amazing stories to share with us the last time he was here. He has also shared with us a lot from he's actually working on his 12th season of A Taste of History. We are right now I'm so excited. I want to share so much about what he's been working on. And as we dive into this segment, Walter's going to share with us how he's used this unforeseen circumstance, which many of us have had some hardships from. Walter's had a business down in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love and sisterly love. And when I tell you that the changes that he's had to make throughout this time frame have been extreme, and he's utilized this time to make some great enhancements to his life, and definitely to us and to others all over the world. But I want everyone to know that Walter is a wonderful man. If you've watched the last segment that I've shared, he had a lot to share about the history, about himself, about his family, and he mostly shared with us how he was definitely bumped on course. We're going to dive a little deeper this time and hear about what Walter has been working on this year and between last year and this year throughout COVID. He has some wonderful things to share. So I'm going to just jump right in and just say, Walter, thank you. Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to have you back on the Franz Experience. Welcome back, Walter.
Franz, it's a pleasure to be on your show. Call on me anytime.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you so much. So Walter, the last time we spoke on the Franz Experience, you were looking into working on a few different projects. I know you've had a chance to visit and see some of the family since some of the restrictions have lifted, and I'm sure that was a beautiful thing. But tell us, Walter, what have you been working on?
Well, Franz, let me tell you, the real problem was that we film. Our primary source of filming is PBS, and PBS is putting a lot of, not pressure, but saying, when are you giving us new shows? When are you getting the next season? Because obviously last year we were stranded, if you will. So I concentrated on other stuff, we'll get to that later, but so we've been really non-stop traveling. We almost done with season 12. Mostly we didn't go overseas. Normally we try to go overseas. We actually were supposed to go to Madagascar. We were supposed to go to Peru and maybe the Philippines. None of those happened because all of those places were majorly hit by COVID and the Delta variants even worse. So we concentrated on other shows that we already had planned to do. And I'm proud to say we have 3 left to finish the season, meaning 2 to be done. 1 is going to be scheduled not until January because it's all the way down on the Rio Grande in Laredo, Texas, which right now is about 110 degrees. So, and we're going to do some cowboy cooking right on the range. So we want to wait
on some rocks.
Yeah, we're going to wait until January, But we've been in some interesting places. Also, it has made life very different when you travel in areas that we know that COVID is rampant, like in the Ozarks, like in Missouri, where we were, like in Kansas. So we had to be very careful, me and the crew, obviously mask up, worry about it, eating only outdoors, most of the time eating in the car, unfortunately, like kind of drive-through versus some restaurants that had outdoor seating. It made it different, to tell you the truth. Matter of fact, going back to COVID really quick, I got my booster shot 2 days ago, so okay. Now I'm all shut up. At 1, 2, and 3. So, but we on schedule. It's going to be dynamite shows, like we always produce. And obviously, as you said in your introduction, we wouldn't have 15 Emmys to our name if we would do a schlocky production. We don't. We spend a lot of time filming, which I just came back just a couple of days ago, when I went to Michigan, to the Upper Peninsula. Very interesting. Where I went to the first time in my life way underground in a copper mine. It was very, very strange. I thought maybe I was claustrophobic, but I didn't. I mean, it was really interesting. But a lot of things we learned, because the show is obviously has food, has location, has excitement, and different. It was a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous trip. So that's kind of the essence of the show. So, but to go back, everybody that watches the show constantly has to be watching reruns. Even so, season 11, because COVID just put a kibosh on it, But it also made it more complicated because we lost our sponsors, so which made it more difficult. But in the meantime, we're just struggling and just doing one day at a time,
Yes, yes, I completely understand. So folks, they're definitely looking for sponsors for A Taste of History to continue to bring you magnificent experiences from all over the world. You can definitely check out Walter's website. And if you haven't already, you can check Walter Staib, Staib, and just see what's going on with A Taste of History, or you could search A Taste of History. And it's just a beautiful experience. Walter has just made many, many, many families happy, and not just through the stomach, but just thinking of ways to just enhance the experience of food and history. And it's nothing like having this beautiful presentation in front of you and knowing where it came from, how this was actually cultivated, and the families and history on the different cultures and how they develop and prepare, and different various fruits, rare fruits and vegetables that are only in those lands and globally. And how we put it together just to make this magnificent meal, and knowing the history of it, it's just a beautiful thing. So if you'd like, and we'd like you to, reach out and look up Walter Staib and A Taste of History, and see how you can also get involved with this magnificent series and this experience. So Walter, with season 12 happening, and you've recently traveled and, worked with a couple other chefs, and tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, as you said, we're trying to bring different, let's make it this way. Last year was the biggest year we ever had as a viewing audience, because remember, we stream on Amazon Prime. So Amazon Prime and also PBS, you can watch all the shows. And obviously last year, with a lot of people being homebound, we've got a whole lot of new audience that obviously watched it. And then they come back, and we have a store. So I have a gift shop. And then people are buying whatever we can ever sell. And we have a lot of stuff still on back order, you know how it is. COVID delayed a lot of things, as you can appreciate. But what happens is we found over the last few years that many times I used to cook the entire meal myself. And then we found that working with a guest chef or somebody that working and I'm kind of almost interpreting what they're doing and assisting, really the audience like, because it gives them a different perspective. It's just not me constantly cooking. Well, obviously I jump in as I have to. Plus I do a lot of work behind the scenes that the audience obviously doesn't know. As you're producing your own show, so you know how much work is done in editing of the shows, So
yes.
Yeah, but like I said, last year, because of homebound and COVID, people have found A Taste of History. and we have a bigger following than before. But going back to last year, when I was homebound, I grew up in the Black Forest of Germany, and my grandfather was what I call a gentleman farmer. I mean, we had pigs, we had chicken, we had herb garden, we did all of our own foods. So last year, I really got into gardening and have a substantial herb garden. So between the new herbs that I have and the existing from about 5 years ago, I came up with a whole new line of seasonings because I used some of my own herbs and incorporated it into it. And you are one of the few people that got an actual package because they're
Will it
just,
be this?
yeah, that's the one. And that just came out, and I'm so pleased. I'm very pleased with them because we had a lot of time. And so while COVID was maybe a negative for many people, in this instance, because I barely didn't leave my house except go shopping late at night with a mask, and then experimenting, because each one of those seasonings would take, I would say, honestly, I'd say a good month of research, cooking it, eating it, cooking it, eating it, adjusting it, working with a company out of New Jersey and saying, hey, it needs a little bit more coriander, or maybe a little bit more garlic, or a little bit more pepper. And so, but the end result, I mean, wait until you try them. I mean, they're absolutely, absolutely spectacular. They're in beautiful glass jars, and nothing but the best expensive spices I got used. So COVID actually assisted me on having the time. Under normal time, I wouldn't have the time. There you go. This is actually the
Look at that
Mediterranean.
handsome guy on there. That looks like you, Walter.
Yes, there, yeah. But I mean, it's like, so I'm very happy to be able to have accomplished that. Additionally, on our website, which, by the way, you can also go still to citytavern.com and then go in the gift store. I have my Black Forest book, which is my favorite, which shows where I'm from, on sale for the entire month of October for only $20, just because I figure when you get those recipes and the spices, you surely can make a great meal,
Yes, yes. Instructions are good. So that's $20. And that's on the website, right?
Any website gets you to our gift store. I mean, it's either Staib.com or tasteofhistory.org or citytavern.com. Either way.
And I thought it'd be a great time to have you back on, Walter, because it's starting to get a little chilly here in PA. And this is the time when people aren't too upset about turning those stoves back on. And even if you decide to use a grill, but it's exciting. You're inside, the sun goes down a lot faster. And it's like, what can we do with that time? And we can make magnificent meals. It probably won't be as magnificent as if you fixed it for us, I'm sure. But we can get a taste of what it's like. Right?
Well, one of the spices that is in there, which is called the Taste of History, is actually a spice that really combines the old days with the new days. So it has allspice. It has a beautiful old flavors into it. So any meal you add this into it will make you miss your mom, kind of. But Franz, the other thing is that a lot of friends of mine that still own restaurants, they're seeing a lot of decline, even lately with the Delta variants, people staying away. So I think that home cooking is kind of made a renaissance because of COVID, and people are experimenting. And what I always tell people, obviously, I've been cooking all my life. I say, experiment a few times. Just don't invite your friends over the first time you do one of my recipes, do it once or twice until you like it, and then invite them over,
Right. Practice. We'll have to take some time and see how these spices work together. And I definitely agree with you there. Practice first. So,
and also
what are your friends doing? Have they decided to take a page out of your book and, say, you know what, this is um, good. We also should think about, expansion and sales and online, or do you think that they have those capabilities, or do you think that they?
a lot of people that I've talked to are still in limbo, if you will. They don't know exactly. There are issues. People got the PPP loans, and some people got them approved. Some people don't get them approved yet. Or everybody holding. It's a tough situation. And the other real problem is between you, me, Franz, and your audience. The labor market has gotten really tough. So many people left the industry, and they're not about just to go right back into it. So everybody I know, friends of mine from the West Coast to the Midwest to right here, are all understaffed, and it makes it very complicated. And so while the consumer palate is still discriminate and they're looking for great experiences, it's much more tougher for the operator because it's difficult. I mean, you see some people advertised right in our neighborhood, dishwasher at $15 an hour, which I already paid before in my restaurant. But speaking of my restaurant, October was last year when they closed down. So October 31st is not a big day in my memory because I do miss my people. I miss my customers. Because we were very close to the people. People would come and buy a book, I sign it for them, I give them a little of history. And because I've been involved in history so long, that there's very little I do not know. Not that I know everything, but I just know more than many people, and I can explain it in layman's term of what happened in Philadelphia, especially Philadelphia, and especially the City Tavern, which opened in December of 1773 and was really the heyday where everybody met, before the Continental Congress. So that's interesting. And I've never tired of it. And when we do research for our show, right now we're working on obviously season 13, which is going to start like really soon, right after the other one is in, as we call it, in the can for the editors. And that's it. But it's been interesting and good experiences, different things. A little touchy at times when you go to places where people just don't believe in masks, and you don't know who was vaccinated, who was not vaccinated. And when you meet a camera or me right on top of people, the first thing I did when I got back from a long trip, I go and get myself tested, to make sure. But thank God, everything has been good. And
thank goodness, yes.
we were extremely careful. But going back to my colleagues in the industry, everybody still is kind of has an attitude of kind of wait and see. Some do extremely well. Some will do trying to think of more off-premise. Matter of fact, for you to know and your audience to know, in about 2 months you can get some of my food through Goldbelly, which is a company out of New York that's recreating some of my dishes. I got to go to New York to make sure they are 100% correct. And comes the holiday, you can get my turkey pot pie and my pepper pot soup and my sweet potato.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it's a really good. It's an upscale. It's an upscale mail order service. They have only 1 or 2 other places in Philadelphia. They're looking for iconic restaurants for people who have a good reputation and have a couple of cookbooks, which obviously I have.
Yes.
Which they can pick from.
Great books.
So this is all exciting. So it's been an exciting year, but it's been difficult for a lot of people. And I'm happy to say that most of my senior guys all ended up with jobs that I was organizing for them. So everybody kind of is taken care of, because that's
such a wonderful man.
It was the main thing for me,
Yes, yes. I had a question as far as do you find that your friends, do you guys do meetings, have WebExes and talk? Because it's such a trauma to have to think of not being able to cook your meals. if we think of what we enjoy doing and having to stop that, it does take a toll mentally. And for someone to understand that space, you kind of have to be in that space. Now, do you guys like speak with each other, have, just different talks? I mean, if laid back, it doesn't have to be, formal, but do
No,
you have that with each other?
the answer is yes, but it hasn't been in person until now again. Everybody feels more comfortable, especially around Philadelphia, Northeast. We have done very good. I mean, most people, so thank God. Yeah, we are meeting. The meetings will be continuing again. More so than before. The last year was all via, Zoom, which is not quite the same. I mean, for me, it makes no difference, Zoom, but it's much better in person because there's something about when you sit across from somebody, when you can see the feeling and you can sense it. It's different. But the answer is yes. We're doing it again, and I'm involved in a whole lot of things constantly. I mean, my phone doesn't stop for people said, "Oh, can you be the speaker for that? Can you be the speaker for that?" So it has all been done electronically, but now there's a whole lot of new things where I'm going to be involved, doing a couple of planning and some dinners with the German Society, playing a dinner with the Walnut Hill College, the restaurant school, and Walnut Street downtown. So yeah, there's more stuff happening,
Wonderful. So the partnership and collab with in New York, how would one get a meal like that? Would they go on the Taste of History or your website, City Tavern?
Yeah, once it's all finished, it's a couple of months away. They would know through our website. It will be promoted on Facebook. Our website. They have a huge thing. Matter of fact, I'm still in the early beginning, working with their culinary director to make sure, and obviously, whatever it is that we're going to package, it's got to have my stamp of approval. So obviously, I'm going to be in their test kitchen, making sure that everything is completely up to par. The one thing I don't want anybody to get a meal and saying, it's not quite the same, because it will be exactly the same. I mean, a few things that you'd have to do when you get it, like such a thing as heating something up, obviously. But yeah, and so there's going to be my agenda this week to work with them, and then get up to New York whenever they're ready for the final taste testing. But plus, there's many other things. Many other companies have come to me and said, "Hey, we understand you have a test kitchen. You do a lot of research with your recipes. And we'll send some product. Can you play around with it?" And the answer is yes. So right now I got some product from Australia in my freezer that I'm going to work with around this week to kind of see what I would recommend, not meaning that it's going to go anywhere, but just get them my stamp of approval, if you will. So culinary is always important to me, and experimenting is important to me, but I always try to keep in mind the consumer, to keep it easy. To me, it's a philosophy. It's called less is better. I don't believe in 50 million ingredients in there, and I believe that ingredients you can find almost in your neighborhood little store. You don't have to go to specialty shopping and what else have you. Even so, like I enjoy going to the farmers market right in Bryn Mawr on Saturdays, just to see if they got some unique mushrooms. I love the mushrooms, and we are close to the mushroom capital of the world in Kennett Square. So I went there, get some oyster mushroom, different mushroom, stuff like that. So it's interesting, the bakeries. So
I have a question for my. I just have a, think about just the day-to-day person that has kids that have stepped, to sports, and quick meals, healthy quick meals for a lot of the kids. Like, what would you recommend? This is for my sports moms and dads out there. I'm thinking of you guys, of course, as a mom who's had to take my son to football and all kinds of sports. And
by the way,
did you win? Huh?
Did you win yesterday?
Oh, Walter, let's just say it was a great first game to see them on the field at home.
Oh, good.
I'm looking forward to this weekend's game. But just the fact that we got to sit in the stands, you know, I've waited over a year to be able to have this moment again. And there are a lot of kids who've pretty much, they've stopped playing sports, or they, you know, just haven't had the chance to get back out on the field. But this year is the start to an amazing experience. And this time on the collegiate level down at University of Penn Franklin Field, one of the oldest fields, of course, you know, there's some history there, right? And the Quakers, go Quakers. But it was just something to feel that experience again. But a lot of times.
But going back to your question, Franz, there's a show on Amazon Prime, which is called Superfoods. It happens to be my show. And they can go on and look them. And you're asking for great ideas. I cook all those shows. There's 3 recipes per half an hour, and they're all easy, simple. But guess what? No salt, no butter, no cream. One of the things that I've always tell people, if you have kids that are not liking vegetables so much, camouflage the vegetable. Do spaghetti squash instead of spaghetti. You know what I'm saying? Camouflage. Use right this part of the year. You get beautiful golden beets that looks very delicious. Beets au gratin, almost like a lasagna done with beets versus beets and eggplants. You know, there's a lot of ideas, but I would recommend your viewers to go on Amazon Prime and look for a show called Superfoods by Chef Walter Staib. Superfood. And basically, it's only using superfoods. And there's 3 recipes in a half an hour show that I cook up in the kitchen in Allentown that show some very simple, easy to make dishes and healthy dishes. I myself lost almost 50 to 60 pounds and just on this particular diet last year, when I didn't go downtown and didn't sample, and also didn't have to have a glass of wine with my dinner, you know?
Yes. So now that sounds wonderful. What would you recommend now? You know, you're talking some football players, basketball, lacrosse. You're talking these kids who pretty much after each breath, they burn about 1,200 calories. They need substance, right? What would you recommend for them, some of those quick meals for the kids?
Well, you know, I mean, to me, obviously, fresh seafood would be dynamite salmon. There's a lot of nutrients into it. There's a lot of vitamins into it. It's also filling. But things like very simple, like for instance, and still relatively inexpensive, you can buy a whole big bag of baking potatoes at many of the stores around here, even the discount stores like Trader Joe's and others. Bake some potatoes, a baked potato with some sour cream, and some butter. That would be a healthy snack rather than some chips and stuff like that. And I'm not, and also, as I said to you once before, I don't knock fast food, even so it's not for me, but I will never knock it. There's a room for fast food, but fast food, a lot of empty calories or the wrong calories. So I think any kind of protein, and I also think in moderation, meat, like chicken, pork, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Like a quick stir fry, that doesn't take any time at all.
Stir fries.
Oh yeah, well, you buy some pork cutlet, cut it up, put my seasoning onto it, let it sit for a couple of hours or even overnight, and then stir fry it and throw some veggies under. And I'm telling you, you'll be the king. That would be my recommendation would be to stay away from traditional snacks. Now, having said that, we all know how much the ladies and the men of the house like chocolate, and there's nothing wrong with dark chocolate in moderation. It's actually very good for you. In moderation, again, it's like everything else, you know.
Yes. So I want to show I want to show the seasonings again for our viewers because I'm really excited to use them. And viewers, you can definitely pick this up on Walter's website. And it's you can look up Walter Staib, or you can look up Taste of History or City Tavern,
All of them.
and look at some of these magnificent treats that he has. Cookbooks are there as well, and they're about $20. And you can, this is staying with me, and I'm not sharing this unless you come over and have a meal. And that's after I've prepared it already.
I'm going to tell you what, friends, I never critique it because I know how difficult it is. I never, ever. I've been to meals that I should have critiqued, but I didn't critique. And I tell you the reason for that is it's not easy. I just encourage people to try it. And I encourage people rather than just moaning and groaning and then running up the street somewhere for a drive-through. Do some experimenting. I mean, literally, and it's beautiful. And you know, the reason I like food so much because you create something. You know, it's not like it gives you a sense of accomplishment. You almost become
Yes.
like a little mini artist. You know, you become like a
Yes.
and you say, look what I've done, and also presentation. The eyes eat along with it.
Yes.
Plus, you know, there is nothing more intimate that you can do for your partner than making a meal. Let's be honest about it. I mean, this
Yes.
got to be like the ultimate. All your love goes right in there. You make this beautiful meal, and you feel good about it. You feel good how it's plated and how you set your table. You know,
Yes.
light up a candle and just if
Yes.
maybe
Make it a beautiful experience, a beautiful evening or brunch or dinner, breakfast. It doesn't matter. And I just want to read this off of the back here. It says, for recipes paired with step-by-step culinary techniques, beautiful photography, fascinating history, lessons, and tips for sourcing ingredients, check out Chef Walter Staub's cookbook collection, available at www.atasteofhistory.org.
Yeah,
This is beautiful.
and they work very well in tandem. And basically, this is a product of COVID. Isn't it kind of strange that COVID did so many people down? And for me, it was just losing a restaurant for 26 years, losing 85 dear employees who worked for me for over 20 years, some of them, think about it, and then finally be able to at enough time because I could have never done this before. Right now, I'm working on the next evolution of spices. Excuse me.
Would you say that this would be a bumped on course type of a moment? Well,
Yeah, kind of like, yeah. It's
I
you know,
think
but
so.
it's interesting, and that's why I don't mind sharing it with you because I
Yes.
have watched your program. You deep. You go deep into the essence, and also you're a very spiritual woman. And I appreciate you as a person, as your show, everything about you excites me.
Thank you, Walter. I really appreciate that. For our viewers, we want to just thank you for joining us today. And I'm sure I'll have you back on the show at some point, maybe even shadowing and seeing what it is you do live at some point and sharing it with our viewers. I would love to do that. But Walter, is there something that you would like to say to our viewers to just keep them encouraged and just to help them stay bumped on course throughout some of these very hard times? We're not saying it's for a reason, but some of the things that we've been able to do is find a way to see something that is an option for us to either take it and be extremely sad and feel upset and hurt, which we will go through some of those pains, but we can also look at the other side and say, okay, well, now I have an opportunity to do this. You can't walk through two doors at one time. And through the pains of the loss of the business, in which that I'm sure is your baby, and not having that in your team. And you've now just looked at that and pulled the love of everyone. And you said, you know what, well, if I can't have you come to me, I'm going to bring it to you.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's beautiful. But what would you share with us?
what I would share to you, I feel for a lot of people, a lot of pain if they lost their loved one. I lost my wife 5 years ago, and I had a really rough time. Honestly, I still miss her every day, one way or the other. She's just there. What I'm saying is whatever or who you ever believe in, you must maintain the faith, and you must look at the opportunities, and you must look at the future with saying, okay, this is the cards we've been dealt with. There's nothing we can do about it. None of us were instrumental on this pandemic. I know we have a tough situation, politically speaking. There's a lot of ups and downs. Don't get distracted. Look at yourself, talk to yourself and say, let's make the best out of it. And I think the way to do it is find your own happiness. My happiness is reading beautiful historic books and cooking and researching and working on new shows. And obviously all my mail order business keeps me pretty busy because, believe it or not, I package all the mail orders right here in my office and take it to the post office, literally. So sometimes we're very, very busy, depending how much traffic we get. So it keeps me busy. But I really think that where people get down, if they don't want to see the future, you got to look at the future.
Yes.
But you got to have faith. You got to believe.
You have to have
whatever you believe in. You got to believe in that. We don't. None of us controls where we are in. What we can control is ourselves. We control to get up in the morning and feel good about it. I mean, I have a big thing in front of me. I'm trying to get my knee replaced, and I have some waited. So now I'm ready to schedule that for knee replacement, so that I can keep maintaining my nice walks that right now are not so good. I still walk with pain, but one of those things. So you got to just look at the opportunity. And I think also people have learned through this whole fiasco of COVID to also take care of themselves. I'm talking about from a nutritional point of view, from a holistic point of view, from believing in yourself, and also loving yourself. Love yourself.
Yes, you do have to love yourself.
Share. Yeah, and do. I mean, like yesterday, I got up early in the morning. I made a huge pot of potato, cabbage, and meat soup for a neighbor of mine who has a very sick wife with Alzheimer and didn't get to cook. So I made this huge pot. And then I find out another neighbor has COVID and they cannot leave. So I made a double batch and dropped some of it there outside their house and the other one. So I was up early in the morning, yesterday morning, early, cooking all this stuff and delivering it. That's what I do.
Yes. Well, Walter, when you get your knee replaced, I may have to start making some sample meals now, so that way I can bring you something so you won't have to stand. He said, no, don't worry about it. I got it. I can cook, Walter. I'm really good.
I better believe it. But the doctor already said to me that based on everything else like that, one day in the hospital and a week later you're like normal again. So let's hopefully he's right. So
okay, well,
I'm looking at it from an optimistic point of view.
Yes. If you need anything, if you need somebody to go to the store, get some potatoes or something, you let me know.
I believe it. I know where you are.
Thank you. Well,
it was definitely a pleasure. And don't cut everything out of there when you edit this program.
Friends,
and remember, this one is for right now, the whole month for sale for only $20. My favorite book, because it tells people where I come from.
Yes, I love that book. I have that book. It's actually on my shelf. Yeah. And I look through that book. It's beautiful. You have to get a copy of it. Now, Walter, is it downloadable as well, or is it just hard copy for now? Okay.
Hard copy, yeah. There's not.
Hard copy.
This is one of my earlier books, but my favorite.
Okay.
And it fits so well with October. because of
Yes.
Oktoberfest and all the foods from Germany. And with a name like Franz, how can you not like it?
How can you not like it? Well, with that, Walter, thank you so much for joining us again on the Franz Experience. Friends, if you'd like to hear more about Walter and what he's done here for the City of Brotherly and Sisterly Love, please take a moment and go to www.atasteofhistory.org, where you can just Google and search Walter Staib. He's on Facebook. Please check it out and get yourself some of these wonderful spices and one of the cookbooks to go with it, and that's $20. And he has a whole shelf of items that you can definitely purchase. Look forward to actually almost having Walter Staib in your home as he collabs with places in New York with some wonderful meals that he has to make sure that it's perfect. But thank you so much. And that got to go. Thank you so much for joining us on the Franz Experience. Stay tuned, and we have some wonderful guests coming up this season on the Franz Experience. Thank you, Walter. And
always a pleasure.
You definitely bumped on course.
All right, thanks.